And it's so nice to see that so many people are showing up in our live stream. We've had nothing but great response. There's been a lot of email blasts going out to promote this venue of bringing some of the greatest artists of our time are coming in on this show. And they're coming from all over the country. Some artists we represent, but many that we don't. So today is a very special day. As you all know, it's Earth Day. And as a Native person, it's a very special day for me. And I thought, what would be a better time but to bring some folks here that have families that have been connected to this land for many, many thousands of years and are still carrying on a lot of our Native traditions in blessing folks like you and me and the earth with song and their artwork and all kinds of different crafts. So it's pretty dear to my heart, but I thought it would be a really good time to just start this day, Earth Day, with a prayer that was written by one of our elders. It's a beautiful prayer about the earth. So let me read it to you. I don't speak the native tongue. Some of these gentlemen do, but unfortunately it has been a little bit lost in our tradition. My dad keeps telling me to go to language class, which I need to do, but here's the prayer. It's called the Sacred Seven Prayers. O Spirit, who are before all else and who dwell in every object, in every person, and in every place, we cry to you. We summons you from the far places into our present awareness. O great Spirit of the North, who gives us wings to the waters of the air and rolls the thick thunderstorms before us, who covers the earth with a sparkling crystal carpet, above whose deep tranquility every sound is beautiful. Temper us with strength to withstand the biting blizzards, yet make us thankful for the beauty which follows and lies deep over the warm earth in its wake. O great Spirit of the South, who warms the breath of compassion and melts the ice that gathers around our hearts, whose fragrance speaks of the distant spring and the summer days, dissolve our fears, melt our hatreds, kindle our love into flames of true and living realities, and teach us that those who are strong are also kind, and he who is wise tempers justice with mercy, and he who is truly brave matches courage with compassion. O great Spirit of the West, the land of the setting sun, with your soaring mountains and free, wide, rolling prairies, bless us with the knowledge of peace, which follows purity of striving, and the freedom which follows like a flowing robe in the wind of a well-disciplined life. Teach us that at the end it is better than the beginning, and that the setting of the sun glorifies you not in vain. O great Spirit of Mother Earth beneath our feet, master of metal, germinators of seeds, and the stores of the earth unreckoned resource, help us give thanks increasingly for your plentiful bounty. O great Spirit of our souls, burning in our hearts, yearning in our innermost inspiration, speak to us now and always that we may be aware of the great goodness of your gift of life and be worthy of this priceless privilege of living on this earth. So I thought that was beautiful. It was written by an elder, Knockwood, and his ending is, may you always walk in beauty, which is a beautiful thing. So just a blessing on the planet. And today we have some amazing talent. The first person we have coming on the show is live streaming from Oklahoma. His name is Timothy Nevaquaya, I believe, and he's going to probably have to correct my pronunciation of his name. But he is a flutist, and he is also an artist in his own right. He's a painter. And he was referred to me by our next guest, Nocona Burgess, who's coming out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and is an incredibly talented artist. And they've been friends. They grew up together in Oklahoma. I'm sure they have a lot of great stories to tell. But let's go ahead and see if we can get Tim here live on our show. Okay, are you there with us?
Yes. Yes, and it's really good to be here.
Welcome. Welcome to the show. And now pronounce your last name because I know I didn't say it right.
It's a Nevaquaya. It's a
Okay.
Comanche name.
Wonderful. And tell us a little bit, where you live and what your life has looked like since we have all been sequestered to our homes.
Well, I live here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm originally from a little town called Apache, Oklahoma. And, I've been here with my wife and kids, the quarantine started. Me a lot of time to explore my art and reconnect with, of life. I've been really much of a change. An artist, you stay secluded the majority of the time, even when things are good. So, but now that I know that everybody's quarantined, well, I hope that through this, everybody reconnect with family and, and rejuvenated and get whenever this passes, we'll all be able to come together and come out and celebrate a new beginning, and enjoy the spirit of, life, and what the Almighty God gave to us. And so today, I want to share some music share through the Native American flute is really the spirit of peace. That's the heart and soul of what I do. I believe it was a marvelous gift that was passed down to me through my dad, who was a revivalist in Native American flute music and traditional flute music, and also flute making. And, he passed that down to me and my brothers. So I'm here today to share that.
Okay, I'm going to minimize my screen so you can go ahead and bring this spirit through the internet to everybody's home who is watching today, that you're going to pick up on this very powerful medicine. And I hope that you really are enjoying it and blessed by it. The stage is yours, my friend.
Okay. All right. The titles of my songs, they actually have no titles. They're more in the spirit of the moment. And so today, I would like for everybody to sit back and meditate, and let's take a journey. Forget about all of the problems. Let's escape that. Let's take this journey through the spirit of music, and let's enjoy it. And I believe that through this, our spirits will be healed. So sit back and enjoy. thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. And
Beautiful.
and this next song, this it's just a continuation of the journey, and I hope that all of you find peace. I hope that everyone is healed. I hope that those that are afflicted by this sickness, I hope many of them have tuned in, because this song is for those that are suffering, and it's for those, who are feel fear. And I pray that through this music you'll be relieved from that, because we need it. We need this. And I pray for your healing. And this is for you and for all the listeners.
Beautiful. I
Thank you.
see the live stream coming through. There's people that are just texting from all over, just how much you're blessing people's lives at this very moment through this new technology that we're bringing to the world. So thank you so much for that. Can you just share a little bit about the flute itself as an instrument with, your culture? And all of our native cultures have similarities, but we also have some differences. And I know you have a real interesting background because you're Comanche and you're also Choctaw. And what was the other thing you had mentioned?
Chickasaw.
And Chickasaw. So you've got a real blending of a lot of different native background there. What is the significance of the flute in your culture?
Well, the flute among the Comanche people was more of a healing, when it arrived on the scene. The thing is the flute has a very big history, because nobody knows the tribe that it came from, nor the name of the individual that created it. But we certainly have a story that's shared, and it's similar to other tribes. And I believe that it's really the same story. And so by the time, it reached us, had our version of it. And it was a gentleman who had lost his family through a mysterious sickness, such as the one that we're having now. And anyway, he was visited by, we believe, the Great Spirit. Some say it was a dream and a vision, which I believe it was composed of all of those things. And anyway, he learned how to make a flute. And during that vision, he heard this beautiful music. So through making the instrument and playing it, he was healed. And then he started a new family. And that was the beginning of his healing and how he recovered. And he began to share this story among the tribal members. And so this story started to spread across, the northern United States at that time, and northern North America. And every tribe has their version of it. But I believe that, it's one of the great gifts that we receive from the Great Spirit. And it comes from the Mother Earth, the trees. The Comanches made them out of cedar. That was really one of the primary woods. But, today, in modern times, a lot of modern flute makers are experimenting with different woods and different sounds. So, it's really a new evolution that's come on the scene. And also, the sound has begun to change in a very dynamic way. But I certainly appreciate.
I think we got a little glitch there.
On how to make it and why it sounds that way. And I believe it was for a healing purpose.
Well, you brought it. You definitely brought that to us today, and I really appreciate you sharing that story, because I think it's really great for people to be able to understand the culture and the stories behind every instrument that is used in Native culture. Does have a story, so that is really beautiful. Well, before we bring Nocona on, I know that you both share the same passion for art, and I know there's an incredible piece behind you. Could you share a little bit about, and that is a painting that you have created, correct?
Yes, yeah, that painting right there is an oil painting, and it's titled Mothers of the Mother Earth. And it was really inspired by the Choctaw and Chickasaw cultures, because they had women's societies, which, were really had a lot of say in the affairs of the tribe. So, I married my wife, Alicia, and she came from the a Choctaw background. And she was the one who explained a lot of the culture to me, because when I was growing up, I was really immersed in the Comanche culture. And so anyway, it was really to commemorate, the tribal history of the women cultures, and the women who, bore the children and raised all of us up, and they've done a beautiful job. And, and it's just a way of telling them thank you, for what you've done through some pretty hard times. And I also have another painting here, and it's really inspired by the Comanche people of the past. And this one right here really is about today, and it's called, this one here is called Riding Into the Unknown. And anyway, today we're all going through this epidemic together, and and for the majority of us, it is unknown territory. But I believe that we're all riding into this, together, and that through this we're going to overcome this, with the power of the living God, who strengthens us and gives us the wisdom and the knowledge to help us overcome this. And this is symbolic of who we are today, natives and non-natives. It's symbolic of the American spirit and who we are, and we will overcome. So, and that's what this painting is about today. So,
that's such a good word. We needed to hear that today. I really appreciate it. Well, Tim, thank you so much for being on the show today. I know your artwork and your music has touched many people out there. I see so many people thanking you for your time. And Do you happen to have a Facebook page that people can come on and maybe follow you and follow your journey?
Oh, yes. It's Timothy Nevaquaya on Facebook, and then Timothy Nevaquaya Fine Arts. So I have two pages, and both of them have my artwork. And and every time I create a thing, I post it. So everybody's free to see it, and ask questions, but Ruth-Ann, I really want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this, and also to Nocona Burgess, my Thorny, I just want to thank him, for giving me the opportunity and the recommendation, and I know that Nocona has some really marvelous pieces of artwork that commemorate, the history of the Comanche people as well as other tribes, and I think he does a very marvelous job of, expressing himself through those powerful images. I'm really thankful to be, his friend and brother, and fellow artist.
That's
So,
wonderful.
Thank you guys. And
Well, the pleasure is all ours, and we will be very excited to follow you. I'm going to post up on the stream here so they can find your website. And again, thank you. Be blessed, my friend. Blessings to you and your family, and keep carrying the good word out there, because you have some very amazing words of wisdom that I'm going to definitely take to heart. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Ruth.
That was so powerful. And I think the power of instruments, whether they're streaming out of Indian country or we've had other musicians on the show, it's something that I think maybe for me, I've taken for granted a little bit. And now I have a greater appreciation for music and the role that it plays and who we are as human beings. And I can see that you folks have really enjoyed also being here and being introduced to new people. And we have our next guest on the show, Nocona Burgas. He is an artist that I had the distinct pleasure of going into his studio about right around Thanksgiving last year, and I was able to interview him live in his studio. His work is very profound because it's not only work that is so well executed and the colors, I mean, you're going to see it live, but it's also something that is really a historical document for all of us to learn about the Comanches and to learn about this rich history and the things that they have brought to the United States as we know it. I know I had mentioned on one of my earlier feeds that a lot of people, including myself, did not know that at one time there were 100 million Native people living on the land that we live on now. And so it's really a very rich culture that unfortunately, unless you are really involved with Native studies or you've been exposed, we don't all get to know about this. So this is such a treat to meet these folks. I'm going to bring Nocona on and then we'll hear it directly from him. Hello there. Can you hear us? We can see you, but we can't hear you. But this is not the first time this has happened. So you might need to go out and come back in. Try going out of the feed and coming back in. And I'll take you out and then we'll bring you back in because we don't have your sound. You look great though. Let's try clicking out and then we'll bring you back in. Sometimes that fixes it. Let's try that. Let's give him a minute. We always test these things the day before and then we have to go back and make sure that they're working. But until he comes back in, I wanted to just share that, we've been seeing some really good movement with what's happening in the world. It looks to me like we've got some parks opening up and there's a little bit of lessened restrictions, but let's just all keep our masks on until we are completely out of the park, as you will, and then we can go on with life as usual. But I think in the meantime, it's probably good to be safe. I know my dad's all about it. If you follow him on Facebook, you'll see that he's always saying, make sure that you follow the rules here. Okay, and I think we can get him back on stream here. We can hear you now. You look great, but we just couldn't hear you. Welcome to the show, Nocona Burgess. And I'm just so thrilled. I was sharing with the viewers prior to you coming on what a treat it was for me to go into your studio. So welcome. Why don't you share with the folks a little bit about what it's like as an artist being sequestered in your home in New Mexico?
I'm kind of antisocial anyway, so it's not a big jump. So
Right.
I'm using the time to work. A lot of shows have been canceled, upcoming shows, even some really big shows. So I'm just kind of using the time to paint, and I've been wanting to work on some different ideas and different things that I've been kind of kicking around for a long time. So I have time. I also work for Santa Fe Public Schools, so I've been working online with the schools as well. But yeah, it's just giving me time to kind of explore and kind of try some different techniques and things like that. And then just like I said, build inventory. And I pick it anyway, so it's not a big change, other than some of the things we kind of have to do on a daily basis. But I spend a lot of time in the studio, so it's not a complete shock to the system.
I had heard that Indian Market, for folks who have not been to Santa Fe during Indian Market, this is really the biggest show, the biggest native show in the United States, probably in the world, quite frankly. But this is a place where artists like Nocona go, and this is a big majority of their income for the year because people come from all over. How is that affecting you?
It's going to affect everybody. It affects a lot of people. It's between 30, 40, 50, even 100% of some people's income. It's a big show. We have about 100 to 150,000 people come to Santa Fe, and it's a $145 million impact. And so I believe they say like at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, about $40 million exchanges hands. And so it's big. It's a big deal. It's gonna, really affect artists income. I'm kind of hoping that, collectors and everybody kind of steps up a little bit when the time comes. I know that everything's uncertain right now with the economy and everything going on, but, we just have to make ways to figure it out,
Right.
we all have to do. We all have to kind of support each other and make sure that we're kind of looking out for each other. There are some artists that are less fortunate. Some are doing okay. So I think we have to reach out and help each other. And so
I agree. I think that's a very good word. And a lot of the artists that do show at Indian Market live on the reservations in Indian country, and this is really their primary source of income. So it really is something that they've devoted their whole lives to, like Nocona. And he's also, one of the things that was really wonderful about interviewing you was the fact that you come from a family that really stressed education. And so I can see why you're working in the school systems and you're bringing that other talent that you have to teach kids, and that's a beautiful thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm the cultural resource specialist for Santa Fe Public Schools. So I just kind of oversee school programs for students, making sure we have tutors available, after school programs, curriculum, And so right now we're really just.
Did I lose you?
Web access and internet access for the classroom and the school, and making sure that families are okay, and even calling families that maybe the schools or the teachers haven't heard from. So we've really been busy kind of keeping tabs on the students, and like I said, everybody's adjusting to this, so it's a big deal.
That's great. Well, everyone who's watching is so excited to see your artwork and hear your inspiration. So I'm going to minimize my screen so we can see more of your studio here. And maybe you can bring a piece up and then share a little bit about what you're bringing within your artwork to the world. Can you hear me?
I'll just click back on.
Okay. Looks like you got your cameraman there. Is that your son? Uh-oh, we lost him. He'll be back. He's got I think a 7-year-old son that is also an artist and is a pretty skilled videographer. Okay, you're back. Let me bring you back on here. I was just sharing a little bit about your son. I said, you've got your cameraman there.
Yeah, I hired him for the day. He needed some work.
That's great. So I'm going to minimize my screen so that folks can see more of your artwork. So maybe, bring a piece up and then share a little bit about Comanche culture. I know you paint these amazing pieces that really, they're mind-boggling how you create these. But, maybe share, a lot of the folks have not seen your artwork. So share a little bit about what you're bringing to the art world.
Yeah, I just I do a lot of reading and studying on native culture. So I don't paint just Comanches. I paint a lot of mostly plains because that's what I'm most familiar with. But I do a lot of portraits. I use historical references for some of my paintings, and also I use contemporary people as well. I've been painting some modern folks. So I just do like a lot of research on people and historical photos and kind of paint from that. And actually, I've got a bunch of new works I've been doing. So I probably haven't done landscapes in probably about, probably past 10 years. And so I just kind of been doing landscapes because we've been out and about a lot and driving around and kind of enjoying the outdoors and not being so cooped up. So it's kind of made me think about all the places I've seen here, between Oklahoma and New Mexico and Arizona, things like that. So I've been kind of painting all these kind of monumental landscapes, places I've been. And so I'll bring you up to the easel and show you one that I'm working on right now in the studio.
Okay.
So this is one. This is out at Chaco Canyon, and so this is a big mountain out in Chaco Canyon. And I've actually just masked this off, so I'll pull the masking tape off and kind of show you what I've been up to this morning.
Wow, that's really beautiful.
And so I've just been painting like Chaco Canyon. I got Shiprock, Tucumcari Mountain, and so so I just kind of these iconic, standout kind of landscapes, and then I've been doing some portraits that are kind of a little less, I guess, tight than what I normally do, and so we'll give you a little tour of the studio here. So yeah.
That is stunning. And are these places that are iconic to New Mexico?
Yeah, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas. They're just kind of places that I've been to, but they all kind of have this common theme of kind of these, like I said, these kind of iconic standout places. So when you go to Chaco, you'll see this and you'll recognize it. And then over here, I've got the Paternal, which is made famous by Georgia O'Keeffe. And so here's one of the landscapes here.
I love your landscape. I didn't get a chance to see that when I was in your studio last time.
Oh, I didn't have any. I just did these probably in the last 2 weeks. So I just, like I said, I just kind of change up a little bit. And so wanted to do some landscape. So here's a couple more. So this is out Tucumcari in eastern New Mexico. And this is a little study of Shiprock. And then here's the Chaco Canyon again, but this is a smaller one. So these are kind of studies for the bigger ones. And then here's the Paternal again. So
I love the modern sensibility that you're bringing into the compositions.
yeah, I kind of thought, my idea was to paint them like I paint my portraits, to kind of have this kind of contemporary feel to it, and kind of this edgier feel along with the paintings. And so here's some new portraits that I've done. And so
look at that.
And so, like I said, these are a little bit more kind of painterly than I normally do, not as tight, with the real definition of the face. And so here's a couple more. And so these are all kind of brand new I've done in the last month while we've been on our kind of stay-at-home duty, because I've been kind of threatening to do some pieces like this for a while now, so I thought I've got some time, and so
So amazing. So are these historic characters that you've done research, or are these modern day people?
these are all historical. These last four.
So
So
who is the one with the hat that you just brought in to the screen?
he's I have his name written down somewhere, but he's I believe he's Yakima from Oregon, and so yeah, I've got all my notes around here somewhere, and like I said, I have their names, and this guy is Kiowa, and his name is Fix, and so yeah, so they're like I said, I get the information on the people, and I paint their portraits, and then usually, when I'm getting ready for the show, um, or I try to have as much information as I can on them. So I think I have all the notes on my phone, which I'm using for a camera. But yeah, so like I said, these are real people. I use historical references. I've always been a fan of the old photos. I don't know if anybody remembers, but all the old time life books that I have a collection of up there. I kind of grew up flipping through those, and yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to this last month or so.
And something that I thought was really a very interesting thing in your biography is that you come from a very, very important, prominent line on your Comanche side. Can you share a little bit about that? Because some people don't know that history, and I think it really kind of shows why you have so much passion. It's really in your DNA, this royalty almost.
Yeah, I'm the great great grandson of Chief Quanah Parker. So here's a photograph of him. And
Wow.
it's on my mother's side. My mom's name is Lenora Parker, and so he's my granddad's granddad. And so he was kind of the last war chief of the Comanches. We still have chiefs in a sense. It's more political leaders and stuff now, but he was kind of the last one to kind of lead the tribe collectively. He was kind of government appointed because whenever all the Comanches were coming on the reservation, so there was really before him, there was never one chief of the Comanches. They had different bands and different chiefs that were different leaders. I mean, they were a collective tribal unit, but they never had like one overall chief. And so he was kind of the first that happened because it was a different dynamic being on the reservation. And so, but yeah, he was a great leader. He took care of his family. He was a warrior. He was the son of a chief. His mom was a white captive. Her name was Cynthia Ann Parker. And when he kind of grew up and became an adult, he took on his mother's name because they had recaptured her. The Texans had recaptured her and taken her away from him. He was about 12 years old. So yeah, and so there's just a lot of information on Quanah. There's a lot of good books. There's some not so good books out there. Yeah.
That's a rich history. And I think that is probably why when I was talking to you, and I'd love to meet your parents at some point, I see them live streaming here with their comments. Hi, folks. Love your son. He's amazing. That leadership gene that you have, had your father and your mother, I know they were both tremendous leaders and are in Indian country. And then you have also taken that and expanded upon that through your arts, through sharing your artwork, but also through educating people. I know you tour and you've talked about the whole Comanche history. It's really a beautiful legacy that you're leaving to the world. And I don't know if you recognize how important that is, especially right now.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's always, stuff going on in Indian country. And even though I paint the majority of historical people, like I said, I've been painting contemporary people. I've painted paintings for political reasons and stuff. And in a way, the portraits are political because, there's always kind of this cliche of get over it, it's in the past. But there are things when I paint natives from history and I'm painting natives from now, I'm like, we're the same people. We have some of the same struggles. We're still, having to go against our government for, support in Indian country. We're fighting for water rights. We're fighting political battles and, gaming battles and things like that. And there's also positive things. I always say the reason why we're here is because of the strength and the endurance that the people that I paint, stood for and what they did for us, And so I always just trying to relate, the past and the present, and that it's very important. I always say, we're the same people. It's a different era, different clothes, but we're still fighting, for our tribes and for our children and our elders, and for everything. And so it's just something that we have to do. And I just always felt an obligation. Like I said, my parents always did that. My grandparents always took care of people. And so it's just a thing that we've always done in the family. And I think, it's not unique within us. I think a lot of people do that, and I know there's a lot going on in Native country where, it's just something that we do. And it's a good obligation to have.
It is. Do you happen to have any of the paintings that you've done of the women warrior in your studio?
No, those all actually are at the gallery. I did a show. I was supposed to have an opening at the gallery, Manitou Gallery in Santa Fe, on April 10th. And so since all this thing kind of shut down, we actually had a live opening like this. We had a live feed, and we shot in the studio, and I had some of the pieces here in the studio. But I've since taken them over there because they're selling them, and hopefully they're going to sell some of those and ship them out. But if you go to my website, NoconaBurgess.com, they're on there, and it's NoconaBurgess.com. Pretty simple. And
Definitely, it's worth a look, folks. I'm going to bring myself back up here. Well, any words of wisdom you'd like to share with folks as they are in this time where none of us have our freedoms right now? Anything you want to share?
Just be smart, think about others, stay safe, do the best you can, help others. Me and my son have just done a food drive for the Santa Fe Indian Center because I know there's a lot of families here, probably out of work and need. So our goal was to fill up the back of my pickup truck. And so we're going to make a delivery today. And people have donated, so we got a lot of food we're going to take over there. So just take care of each other, and think about the kids and the elders and everything we do. We got to watch what we touch and, watch where we're at and things like that. And my hope is that this is over, sooner than later. But I think we have to be conscious about others and ourselves and, how we're, I know we're missing a lot of things we take for granted, but I think, we just got to keep taking care of each other. That's the only way out of this.
I agree. And we're definitely here. That's why we're so devoted to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Art of the City, because we are staying shelter in place. We're doing our part. So I think that's wonderful. And love to you and your family. I'd love to have you here in our gallery when this all passes and have a show here. And we may just have to reinvent, the whole Native community to come into one place in Southern California, which hasn't been done in a very long time. So maybe we're going to have Indian Market West this year, even if it's at a smaller level.
That sounds good. I know
Could be fun.
at the Museum of Man a long time ago, but yeah. So thanks for having me, and yeah, that sounds great. I'd be happy to be in your gallery and see what we can do. But thank you. Everybody, stay safe. And be good.
Thank you again, and be sure to visit his website. He has some of the most amazing work I've seen from a contemporary Native artist here, and is blessing so many people with the artwork and then with the history, which is very important. So be blessed, Nocona, and we'll have you on the show again soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Well, I know Nocona's families out there, thank you so much for encouraging the arts here, because it really is something that is going to be pushed forward forever. And we very much appreciate it as art collectors and as lovers of art and music and culture. It's just one more layer that will be left behind when we aren't here anymore. All of these artists that you're experiencing through Art of the City TV, and when you go out and you're looking at art and music, this is what's going to define who we have been as a people. And I think this particular show is profound because it's something that we're all participating in. You as the viewer, you are really a very important part of supporting the arts. Without you, the artists don't really have a venue to show their work and express who they are. So thank you so much. We'll be streaming again Friday, 1 p.m. We have an artist coming out of Texas, Todd White. He's very fun. We'll switch it up a little bit. And then we have a mixologist, a cocktail specialist that's going to show us how to make a specialty drink right before the weekend. So it should be great. Be sure to share this with all of your friends and family. You can repost it. We're getting quite a following here, Art of the City TV, live streaming on Facebook. And again, if you miss it, you can always go to Art of the City on YouTube. So thank you. Be blessed. Have a wonderful Earth Day. If you get a chance, take your shoes off, walk in your backyard, feel that earth. Feel the vibration of the earth today, because it's a very special day to be alive. We're all so grateful to have each other. And so again, folks, be blessed. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy this beautiful Earth Day.